Check this out though, what's up? I'm Joe Baker. I was born in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Raised in Springfield, Tennessee. It's early in the morning, breakfast time. It's about 7:30. They call it breakfast. If you ain't up for breakfast around 7:30, you gonna miss it. So if you ain't got commissary, you will be home. See my back window, I got it covered up. I'm gonna show you outside. See that fence? This is real. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in a single parent home with just my mama. My daddy got sentenced to life in prison when I was just a baby. I got an older brother and a younger sister. My favorite sport growing up was basketball. Still to this day, I got a deadly crossover. But I slowly destroyed them dreams of going to the league. And I'm finna tell you how. At the age of 14, I ended up getting placed in DCS custody for aggravated burglary and theft over 1,000. Worst 5 months and 5 days of my life. And the reason was, I missed my girlfriend. I couldn't wait for mail call, phone call days, and weekend home passes so I could see her. And I remember like yesterday when I got out, it was July the 3rd. I was home for the 4th. But that wasn't the highlight for me that summer. The highlight for me was starting my freshman year because I was going to get to play basketball. I'm telling you, I was balling. And my freshman year started. I tried out for the team, made the team, got to play. During the season, found out my girlfriend was pregnant. A little bit after the season, I ended up getting placed in alternative school. I just wasn't interested in school if I couldn't play basketball, so I started getting in trouble. While I was in alternative school, I kept getting in trouble. And I got placed back in DCS custody 2 weeks before my baby girl Samari was born. Biggest regret of my life, because me and my partner was in the stealing cars. Well, that time I did 11 months, 9 days. Got out with high hopes of getting back on the basketball court. Coach told me I couldn't play. Said I had to sit out a year. Like I said before, I just wasn't interested in school if I couldn't play basketball. I started skipping. I wasn't working. Wasn't being the father I was supposed to be. Next thing you know, eventually I dropped out. Started selling dope. Started robbing. The streets was my classroom. It was all about money and respect. If you ain't had no money and some kind of respect where I was from, you was nobody. You had to have some kind of reputation, some kind of street cred. If you ain't had that, like I said, you was nobody. So I thought I was somebody. Thought I knew everything, didn't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? And thought I was the man. Didn't stay out number 9 months. Caught another charge. Went to county jail. 1st degree murder. Special aggravated robbery. Special aggravated kidnapping. Facing a life sentence. By the grace of God, I ended up getting an 11-year sentence. I was 19 then. I'm 28 now. For the last 9 years, this is where I've been at. Check this out. This is my bed. As you can see, my bed, my cellular bed. See, it's a toilet right there. Got it covered up. As you can see, I live in a bathroom. Let me show you. It's where my hygiene and stuff at. See our coats. Laundry bags. Little commissary. Let me take this down so you can see the door. The door right here. I'm gonna let you see a little bit of the pod, if I can. You see they playing domino. That's the shower. You see the officer right there. I know you see that keyboard. That's the prison. Only way you can get that is if you've been out of trouble for a while. Can't have no write-up. See my back window, I got it covered up. I'm gonna show you outside. See that fence? This is real. That's where I'm at. This ain't a drill. It's serious right here. This ain't jewelry. See, I got a TV. It's cable. But trust me, it ain't worth coming to prison. Go my study notes. Jesus Christ, my rock. That's what changed my life. If it wasn't for him, I don't know what I'd be doing. Let me show you something else. These are my books. All of them faith-based. This is the book I wrote myself. The Life, Sunday to Sunday. Let me show you something else. This the time sheet right here. They get these out every month. Show you a good time and stuff. How much time you done did when your time expired. This right here, a withdrawal form. This how you send money home. This is a visitation form. God forbid you don't never have to use none of this. This is my shelf. See, I gotta have my clothes folded up a certain way. My cellar shelf. Like I said, I've been here the last 9 years, man. I ain't been able to see my mama. I ain't seen my daughter. She 13 now. I basically watched her grow up through pictures. I'll show you a couple pictures of her, man. Show you how I watched her grow up through pictures, man. It's my baby right there, man. You see, she was little right there. Had to watch her grow up through pictures, homie. You don't want to do that. If you ain't got kids, I'm pretty sure you want to have them one day. You don't want to watch them grow up through no pictures. This is the picture that helped change my life a little bit. You probably can't see it, but that's my granddad's name on there. It's Joe Sr. And when I seen this picture right here, I was thinking, man, that could have been me right there. I just want you to get a good look at this cell. This ain't what's up. I live in the bathroom, homie. This ain't where you want to spend your life. I promise you. I really just want to show you what this mat, this pillow, you see how uncomfortable this pillow is. It ain't worth a quarter. You don't want to sleep on that. And then check this out. As you can see, the difference in the color. See how brown that look? It's straight out of the laundry. See how my sheet look white? That's because they're a little new. It's pitiful. Let me show you his mat. What we sleep on. It ain't worth a quarter neither. Strip this all the way down for you so you can really get a look at it. You don't want to be sleeping on that. That grown man don't supposed to be sleeping on nothing like that. You can see here go the coats we gotta wear in the winter. They make sure we know we belong to them. They got TDOC on the back of everything. That's just a hole and cut inside the coat. You can carry extra stuff in there. See, got cereal bag in there. That's really where we put our ice in. You see, they got the TDOC all the way down. You don't want to have to wear them. I'm going to show you one more time. As you can see, we really live in the bathroom. Sometimes when we lock down, if they got an institutional lockdown, if my celly got to be in here when I got to use the bathroom. I got to be in here when he got to use the bathroom. It's awful, man. You take the small things for granted, like toilet paper. See, it's toilet paper. It look like regular toilet paper, but this is just, it's not soft. It's just, you don't want to use this. You don't want to use it. Stay at home and keep using Charmin. It's early in the morning, breakfast time. It's about 7:30. They call it breakfast. If you ain't up for breakfast around 7:30, you gonna miss it. So if you ain't got commissary, you will be home. That's the laundry going out. You see your clothes down there white, they gonna come back brown.
It's awful, homie.
That's it, man. I've been here for the last 9 years. Been through everything, man. I've been in fights. By the grace of God, I ain't never been stabbed. I've seen people get stabbed. Seen people kill themselves. Been in maximum security. Maximum security where you do, it's really 23 and 1. You sit in the cell 23 hours a day. Get out 1 hour. You take 3 showers a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So what you've just seen right there, I don't think it gets any realer than that. All of this was from a guy by the name of Joe Baker, who I've just recently began to get to know. This is a guy who served 10 years in prison for some pretty crazy charges. And most of this man's life had been completely out of control. But it was during these 10 years that he served, while he was still wrapped up in so much negativity, that this guy decided to change his life. And now, Joe Baker is home. He's been released now for about 6 months, and he's been taking the necessary steps that he needs to in an effort to get his life on the right track. And what follows is an interview that I just recently had a chance to do with Joe. Joe, first and foremost, I just gotta say, your story is probably one of the craziest that I've ever heard. Being that most of your life was so negative, and during these 10 years that you served, you found a way to turn it around for yourself. As we begin this interview, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and also what your life has been like?
Life of crime, really. In and out of trouble my whole entire life, from the age of 14 all the way up to 19. Just come home serving a 10-year sentence in prison. I went in June 2007, got out just recently, May the 23rd. My life has been crazy, and my life has been unpredictable, but my life is, in so many ways, turned into a blessing.
At what age did you first start getting into trouble, and for what?
I started getting in trouble at the age of 14. It was either 14 or 15. I broke into a house and stole $1,500, me and 2 other friends, and went to court, got placed in DCS custody for the first time, and that time I did 5 months and 5 days. Came home, only stayed home a couple of months, ended up getting sent right back to DCS custody for stealing cars. Did a couple of months, got out, went right back in again, so I started getting in trouble at a young age.
What do you feel was the reason you started getting in trouble and going down the wrong path?
I think the reason I started getting in trouble was my environment. First and foremost, I mean, my mama dated one of the biggest drug dealers in this small town we lived in, Springfield, Tennessee. And I think that was the beginning of my problems. The environment I was around, the people I was around, things I seen, things I heard. You know, it's just the lifestyle that I gravitated to. So I think that was the beginning of my problems. That was most definitely the beginning of my problems.
What were the charges that sent you to prison? And also, could you explain a little bit about all of that? And also, how you feel about that now?
The original charges were special aggravated robbery, special aggravated kidnapping, and first-degree murder. And I also had an escape charge because I escaped out of my county jail waiting to go to court on the other case, which I have a newspaper clipping of. That's me back then. Yeah, I had hair back then. As you can see, it's about gone now. Prison about made my hair fall out, Joe. But how I feel about that now, I feel like I've grown enough. I forgave myself, you know what I'm saying? I've got over this situation, man. It was a terrible situation. It was a terrible choice I made, because not only did I do something I ain't had no business doing, somebody's life was lost in the process. And I was dead to the right guilty. I mean, we robbed somebody, we kidnapped him, and he ended up getting shot. He bled out, and he actually died. But after being in prison a certain amount of years, man, and looking in the mirror and reflecting back on stuff, not only just this situation, but other situations that I had got away with, never went to court for, still things that people don't know about my life, things that I've done. I mean, I feel, at the time, I feel horrible about them, but then with the same situation that has made me who I am today. So how I feel about that now, man, I just thank God for being able to turn a bad situation into a good situation, man. It's the best thing I can say. It's the best way I can put it on that.
Now, I know you had mentioned to me before, when you first got arrested, you had actually escaped from the jail. Could you tell me a little bit about that, and also what time was like for you when you were first arrested?
Around the time I had got arrested, man, I had in the streets, I guess you could say I had a decent life. So at the time that I got arrested, man, it threw me off completely. I didn't know how to handle it. I ain't gonna lie to you. It about drove me crazy because one minute you free, you doing what you want to do, you go where you want to go, you go to your friend's house, you go to your girl's house, you go to the mall, you do what you want to do. Then out of the blue, you just get snatched up because I didn't know I was gonna get arrested on the day I was gonna get arrested. I didn't know they was finna come to my house. I didn't know none of that. I didn't know what was finna happen. I didn't know that the grand jury had indicted me. So when they came and got me at the house, it completely threw me off. I didn't know what was going on, and listening to the charges, I was just like, this is the end of my life. And so that was actually when I started to plan the escape in my mind. And I started to play crazy on my case. I actually went so far as, even though I was depressed, I can't say that I was actually suicidal, but I actually cut on my wrist a couple of times. I don't know if you can see that. But that was actually when I started planning the escape, because I was like, man, I got to get out of here because I'm not finna go to prison for the rest of my life. And just so happened, man, it worked. I ended up escaping, running off. I was only gone for 24 hours. I actually went to a friend's house and someone called the police on me while I was sleeping. I ended up getting apprehended and I went back into custody. And they actually moved me to the prison then because no county jail in my district wanted to accept me back. So they put me in what they call safekeeping until the case that I was on was satisfied or was over, until I got my time, until I was released. So I sit on maximum security for 2 years and 3 months fighting the case I was on because of the escape.
Could you tell me what it was like for you when you got to prison? Gang activity, possibly crazy things that you saw with that? And also, how did you pass the time?
Okay, going to prison, and listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Going to prison it was a little scary because I done heard all these prison stories of what's going on in prison. People are getting forced into gangs, people, all kinds of crazy stuff. So on my way to prison, my mind was my mind was out there. I was worried. I was a little scared. So by the time I got there, man, and I walked on the compound and I seen how everybody was moving, I seen a couple of familiar faces, people that I grew up with, people that I knew. Man, and I got a little eased in, but still I started seeing stuff immediately. I started seeing people was getting robbed. I started seeing people was selling drugs. Started seeing that the officers didn't care how inmates was pretty much running the prison. I was like, this is pretty much just like the streets. This is very dangerous. So either at that point my mind is like, I'm probably just gonna have to continue to be how I was on the street walking into prison. How I passed my time. I passed my time actually. I played a lot of chess. Love chess. I mean, I played dominoes and spades and stuff like that. But chess, it was a mind game. I loved the game of chess. And I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of writing. I actually did I actually went to school for business management. I went to a correspondence college class. I took that for a couple of years, and then I got my GED while I was there. Of course, I went ahead and took advantage of that opportunity. As far as trades and stuff like that, I went through a bunch of different trades. I tried HVAC, didn't like it. Tried carpentry, didn't like it. Didn't like all the sawdust in my nose and stuff like that. Then I finally ran into something I felt like I enjoyed doing, that I was good at. I pretty much was natural with that thing, board chopping. I went to barber school, and I went to barber school at West Tennessee, and I took that for about 6 or 7 months. I didn't get to complete it, but I plan on finishing that now. But that's pretty much how I spent my time. And I didn't deal with a lot of people in prison. I didn't associate myself with a lot of people other than the people that I was affiliated with at the time, because I was in a gang. I was gangster disciple at one point in time for a certain amount of years in prison, and then I got out of that.
Let's talk about your father a little bit. This is somebody who received a life sentence and who you never knew. In fact, you were basically meeting this man for the first time while in prison. And wasn't there also a time when the two of you actually shared a cell?
My father, Joe, man, my father, as a kid, we went to see my dad in prison and stuff, but it really wasn't no, like, relationship like I knew him. Like, I didn't really just get to know my dad and stuff like that. So when I came to prison, I actually, the first prison I came to, actually, my daddy was there, but he had got in some trouble right before I got there. So they moved him like maybe 2 weeks after I got there. And the prison he went to, he actually had talked to the warden and told the warden, you know, about his situation. He had been gone my entire life. I'm 20, like I said, I'm 29 years old. My dad had been gone 28 years. It's got to be somewhere up in there. And the warden so happened to just let me get moved to the prison where he was at, which is in Northeast Tennessee. I got moved up there. The unit I was in wasn't the unit where my daddy was in. He ended up talking to somebody, the unit manager or whoever, the coordinator. They ended up moving me to the unit where my daddy was and putting me in the same cell with him. And I got to be honest, that was probably the craziest experience I've ever had in my life, because I got to get around somebody that I wanted to know, somebody that I didn't know, somebody that I had heard a lot about. You know, I got to learn a whole lot of things about myself just watching my daddy sometimes, you know what I'm saying, how he moved and how he talked, how he treated people. I was like, man, that's where I got that from. So it was crazy, but it was bitter and sweet, because I got to get a lot of stuff off my chest, a lot of stuff, a lot of resentment that I had, a lot of stuff that I had built up in me. So them times came where me and him, you know, we had to hash it out. We had to have our words. I had to let him know, man, look, man, you been gone all my life. You been gone. You owe me. And he used to tell me all the time, I don't owe you nothing. But it was a great experience for me, because it was really, I think that was a part of my experience as far as being in prison. I think that pretty much almost brought me whole. So that was a crazy experience, but it was a good experience at the same time, man. My daddy got to learn a lot about me, a lot about the things I grew up, how I grew up, you know, things I went through. I got to learn a lot about him, you know what I'm saying, things that he went through in prison, just his whole journey, period, man. And it brought us closer. It brought us closer, man. That's my guy. Love, Pops.
It's pretty safe to say that you were getting in a lot of trouble before prison and also while in prison. What would actually happen that would cause you to want to change your life for the better?
How I end up making the change, man, was my daddy ended up getting moved to a different prison. They ended up separating us. They moved him to a prison in Nashville. They moved me to a prison in West Tennessee, close to Memphis, called West High. And when they moved me to this prison, I had an uncle there who was a big gang member too. He was Fat Deuce Who Crip, Christopher Williams, man. They used to call him Toon. Love you to death, Hump. Hope you get to see this interview. He's serving a 75-year sentence right now. 75-year, 3 consecutive 25-year sentences, actually. And when I got to the prison where he was at, I had been hearing about this change that he had changed his life, gave his life to Jesus. He wasn't cripping no more. He wasn't doing none of the stuff he was doing no more. And I used to send drugs to my uncle in prison. I used to send him dope all the time. So to hear that he had changed his life was big, man. So when I got there and got around him, I actually got to see change, like real for real, like for the first time. Even though he was in prison, even though the situation we was in, under the circumstance we was in, I actually got to see a man not only living right, but actually living out the Bible to the best of his ability. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Unc wasn't perfect, but he wasn't perfect. But this was the first time I actually got to see somebody like living right, talking to people, treating people right, no hidden motives, no hidden agendas, not getting over on nobody, not being manipulative, none of that. I'm talking about this straight up, straight cut dude, up and down. And at the time I got around him and seen this, I'm like, this is a person who lived the kind of life I've lived. This is the caliber person, the same as me. Robbed people, shot people, been and sold dope to people, got over on people, got over on his friends, got over on his own family members. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, man, he got so much peace, he got so much joy. I'm like, whatever he got is real, and I want it. And what he had was Jesus Christ. But the thing was, I was like, I really didn't know. They call it religion, but I don't know nothing about faith. I don't know nothing about believing. I don't know nothing about the Bible. Matter of fact, I had never even had somebody pray for me. So even watching him and knowing what he had, it was like, I don't know how to get that neither. I don't know how to do that neither. So watching him was the beginning of my transformation.
And how would you go about doing just that?
Yeah, I was getting in a whole lot of trouble, man. Before I went to prison, like I said, it was due to my environment, the type of lifestyle that I chose. And by the time I got to prison, like I said, the prison environment was pretty much the same, if not worse. So I pretty much stuck to what I knew. And after looking in the mirror at myself a couple times, looking at what I was charged with, not only that, looking at things that I had done that didn't, like I said, did nobody know, being in the cell with my daddy, One night I had got up, man, being in the cell. My dad, I went to use the bathroom. He was asleep, as you know, man. The cell is the bathroom. You got the toilet and everything. And I turned around, and looked at my dad. He was asleep. I was like, man, at this point, I'm like, man, look, this is crazy, man. This is wrong. This ain't right, man. Something got to change. And at that time, me and my dad were hustling and everything. So I'm like, man, I'm tired of living like this. You know, I've tried everything. You know what I'm saying? I've done everything. It just seemed like it's just not working. It's just like they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And that's what it seemed like with my life. Every time I done something, I got locked up. I get out and thinking I got smarter or got a little slicker. Got out, tried the same thing, got locked up again. Going from prison to prison, thinking, oh, I'm going to hustle different this time. I'm going to do this different this time. Guess what? Get moved to another prison. It was just at the point where I was like, man, ain't none of this working. And I was just ready to change my life. I was ready to change my life, but at the time I didn't know how to change my life. And then on top of that, I had never seen nobody who was living a changed life. Didn't have those kind of examples, those kind of role models around me. So at that time, even though I was going through a struggle within my mind, I was still wondering how do I even change? How does that even happen? Is it even possible? Is it even real? Because I had never even seen it. I don't even know what it looked like.
Now, Joe, we first got in contact through Facebook, and it was there where I was seeing these videos that you had shot while in prison with a cell phone that I'm pretty sure you weren't supposed to have. Even though you were shooting really positive videos with that phone, can we talk a little bit about that? Were you ever scared of getting caught with that phone, or did you ever come close to getting caught with it?
Yeah, about that video on Facebook I posted of me in prison, man. That was probably, I probably had about 90 to 100 days or something. I only had a couple of months left at the time I started doing it, and I had already made the change in my life, and I was like, man, you know what? People need to see this. People need to not only see what's going on in prison, but they need to see, you know what I'm saying, how we live, how we living in here, you know what I'm saying, what it can do. You know what I'm saying? They snatch away all your rights, and snatch away all your privileges, all this. You need to know that you can't go out of your door when you want to go out your door. You can't go to the refrigerator and eat what you want to eat. You know what I'm saying? You got to live in the cell with somebody you don't know. You need to see that it's a bathroom inside of your cell. You know, it's unsanitary. You need to be able to, I wanted people to see, you know, even though people commit crime and do wrong, you know, in a situation like that, when you get put in prison, man, it's like they treat you like an animal, man. And I want people to see what the inside of the prison actually look like, because I wanted, hopefully, God willing, it would prevent somebody from actually going there by seeing like the inside of it and actually what it's like to be there. And there was and yeah, about the cell phone, Joe, about the cell phone. Yeah, I was a little worried. But you know how once you get close to your time and it ain't nothing they can do to you, I was like, man, you know, I'm going to take the risk, man, hopefully for the greater good. If they catch me with the phone, so be it. You know, even though it wasn't mine, I was just only using it at the time. And I ain't saying that's right. If you listen to this youngster, don't be thinking it's cool to be using no phone in prison, because it's not. I just in my mind, I was thinking, man, I can use this, man, to hopefully bring some good out of it, expose some stuff that's going on in prison, expose how we got to live in prison, and also how hard it is to actually change in prison. A lot of people think you go to prison and you get soft and you go through a situation and now you don't want to live like it. Man, sometimes that ain't the case. Sometimes people just get tired, and I just so happened to be one of them dudes who got tired. And yeah, of course I was scared about getting caught with the phone. But even though at that moment they couldn't take the time from me, I figured, man, I'm gonna take the risk for the greater good. You know what I'm saying?
Now, with these videos that you were shooting and the underlying positive message behind them, what were your intentions with these videos? What were you hoping to do?
When I was making the videos, man, like I said, I really wanted to reach the youth more than anything. I wanted to reach the youth more than anything because for some odd reason, the generation we live in now, the youth tend to gravitate towards individuals who seem to have some kind of, who's been put on a pedestal or their life been glorified for the wrong things. So when you talking about individuals who have done stuff that these youngsters look up to like they some kind of superheroes or something. When you done shot people, you done robbed people and do, generation we live in now, they look at you like you somebody. So I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to expose myself and show, you know what I'm saying, as many youngsters I can that I was living a certain type, and it was wrong. It was wrong, and it put me in here. You don't want to come in here. You don't want to glorify this type of individual. You don't want to glorify that type of lifestyle because it ain't cool, because this is where it's going to put you. It's going to take you away from your family. It's going to take you away from your friends. It's going to take all your rights. It's going to pretty much take your entire life. And if you ain't strong enough, it'll take your mind. It'll take your mind.
Now, with all of that, is there something more that you're hoping to do now? Possibly be a motivational speaker, maybe talk to the youth?
The one thing I want to achieve more than anything, man, is to reach the youth. I want to speak to the youth. I want to speak to every individual who done been through what I went through, who going through what I went through. Anybody who grew up in a single parent home, anybody who grew up in the struggle, anybody who grew up in poverty, anybody who grew up, man, having a hard time, anybody who grew up who don't understand God, who got a lot of questions for God just based on how they living, based on what they going through. I want to reach every youth possible, man, and let them know, look, even though you going through that, or it's somebody who done been through it. It's somebody who can tell you, you know what I'm saying, if you continue to go down the wrong path, or you continue to let that motivate you the wrong way, it can put you in a place you don't want to be in. And sometimes you don't even get to go to prison. Prison save a lot of people's life. Sometimes you go straight to the graveyard. And I actually want to reach the youth, man. I want to reach the youth because that's where we got to start at. The youth, a lot of older people pretty much already got their mind made up, but as individuals, especially as a brother in Christ, man, a man of God, we can reach the youth, man, and we can start to get them the word and help them go ahead and start transferring, renewing their mind right now, man. We can turn this world into a better place, man. So if it's anything I could achieve, man, I want to talk. I want to go anywhere I could go. I don't care if it's across the country. I don't care if it's across overseas. I don't care where it's at. If I can go and I can speak, if I could give somebody life, if I can give somebody some hope based on my story, man, that's what I want to do.
Joe, let's talk a little bit about the books that you wrote while locked up. Could you tell me a little bit about that, and also how people could go about getting a copy for themselves?
Most definitely, Joe. The book, The Life Sunday, which is the first one. Second one, The Life Sunday, the Sunday Growing in Christ. And where they can get it, man, I was going through Amazon, but I quit using Amazon. Didn't like Amazon at all. So really now, man, if you could just email me on the email that I gave you, thelifeministries10@gmail.com. Send me an email about purchasing the book, and I'll get the book to you. I'll mail it. We'll arrange the payment on PayPal. But how the book came along, I actually ended up writing the book. I had just got denied my third time at parole, man. At this time, I had been going to church. I had been praying. I had been helping people, you know, doing everything you feel like you got to do to earn something from God. And I went over that third time at parole, and them folks said, denied. Exceed the balance, meaning do the rest of your sentence. It's like, man, on that way back, it was the longest walk ever, probably. And at the time, I started questioning God. I started questioning everything. Not only that, I'm going to church. A lot of these people homosexual. A lot of these folks only using the church because they scared. They don't know how to do their time in prison. They running and hiding. So at this time, I'm starting to question everything. And I was really ready to go back into the life I was living. I was ready to go back to hustling. I was ready to go back to knowing, living how, doing what I'm used to. And after I got to my cell, man, after about 3 days of sitting in the cell depressed, thinking, dang, I got about 2 more years to do, man, my cellie finally asked me, what you gonna do? I said, man, I'm gonna write a book, man. I'm gonna write a book. And he busted out laughing at me. Like, man, everybody talking about writing books and starting their own business in prison. I said, man, hand me my tablet, man. I wrote the first 13 chapters in like 14 days, in like 2 weeks or so. I ended up finishing the first book in like a month. And what I did, I just poured my heart out. All the questions I had for God, why I grew up the way I grew up, why I thought the way I thought, why the world is the way it is, why the world in the condition it is, why babies got to die, why is it sickness. Everything that I didn't understand about God. If God is who he say he is, why is he letting us live like this? Why did he even create a world or create humans if he know we were going to live like this, man?
Joe, I want to go ahead and wrap this up, and I also want to say thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. Your story and everything that you've been through is something that I find absolutely compelling. And I also hope that a lot of people are able to take something from this. But with that being said, is there any final words that you would like to leave everybody with?
The one thing I want people to take away from my story, Joe, is, man, I'm going to say it like this. It's a lot of people in the world that don't understand what's going on in the world. It's a lot of people that's going through a lot of pain, a lot of people in a lot of broken relationships, a lot of people addicted to stuff, a lot of people addicted to alcohol, a lot of people addicted to pills, a lot of people addicted to all kinds of stuff. A lot of people don't know whether they coming or going. And if it was one thing I could say, man, I was once upon a time one of them people. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know what I wanted to do. They didn't know where I wanted to go. And then done everything you can think of. And the one thing that I hadn't tried was God. One thing I hadn't tried to do is open up that Bible and read that Bible and actually try to live it. A lot of people open up the Bible and read the Bible and ain't trying to live it, and that's why they get so caught up in religion. I said, man, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. A lot of people do it and they ain't doing it right. And when I started reading that Bible, when I opened up that Bible and started reading about Jesus Christ, man, that's what changed my life. So if there's one thing I want people to take away from this video, it is, man, Jesus Christ can change your life. And I've seen it all and done it all, man. I started getting locked up at the age of 14 or 15, in and out of group homes. You know, I done robbed folks and shot folks and done everything you think of. Just done 10 years in prison. I have to say, I got the most peace that I've ever had in my life. I got the most joy I've ever had in my life. And I wouldn't change this for nothing. I wouldn't go back to the lifestyle that I was once living for nothing. I can't say that I don't think about it. I can't say that I ain't saying that I'm perfect. I ain't saying that I still don't do a lot of some things that I don't have no business doing. But for the most part, I know for a fact that I'm not the individual that I used to be. And I know it's only one way that it can happen. And that's the King, Jesus. So that's the one thing I want to leave with everybody, man. And it ain't easy. It ain't easy. I got to give them that too. It ain't easy, man. And I just pray and hope that you look at this video, man, and you see some hope in me. I pray that you see some hope in Joe, because I know Joe told me he would have done 7 years a day. He got it popping on YouTube. He doing his thing, man. He doing good, man. I salute you. I wish the best for the After Prison Show. I wish you all the success in the world. And, man, that's what I want people to take away from this, man. Pour into the youth. Pour into the youth. They are the generation to come. They are the ones who can change this world, man. Pour into the youth, man. Y'all be blessed. I appreciate it, man. Y'all stay tuned in to the After Prison Show. My boy Joe got it popping. I'm going to get back with you. One.
Again, a very special thank you to Joe Baker for taking the time to share with After Prison Show his story and also so much of what he's been through. If you'd like to know more about Joe or support the positive strides that he's trying to take in his own life by purchasing a copy of his book, information on how to do so will be in the descriptions and also pinned in the comments. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!